And we're back again. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
And it's Eric.
It's What If Geeks. And today we're going to talk about the best and worst geek movies of the decade?
Decade, yeah. So the decade is almost over, right?
That's crazy.
It's August, I suppose. But, I mean, it's 9 years and 8 months in. I think we're close enough.
Yeah. That's, we're good. I think she's come to term.
Yeah, I don't...
We're there.
I think everything for the rest of the year that we want to talk about, we've already talked about it anyway. And who knows if they'll be awful or not. But stick with
We'll hold out hope, and we can kind of revisit this at the very, very end of the year and do
it's actually hard to be
in
on
the
a
new
really
year.
bad list. A good list, maybe, but a really bad list, I think it's hard to get on. And these guys have probably earned their spots, I'm sure.
Well, I think maybe come the first couple of weeks of January, we can do another recap of this. Kind of just look once the whole decade is done, then we've seen whether or not Star Wars lives up to it, or It 2, or Zombieland.
Yeah,
throw those in there, see how they did.
Yeah,
kind of chalk them up to this list that we're about to jump into.
So, for the benefit of the audience, we each have our own best 5 and worst 5 list. I think we'll start with the worst and we'll go backwards round robin style. Yeah, you guys agree? We'll start with number 5 and work our way up.
I'm going to caveat this real quick. Yeah. When I first jumped on there, because, for those of you who are listening to this, hopefully you listened to our last episode, which was our 40th. We are officially over the hill. I did it right this time. We started that one off with, where you've been, what you've been doing, and I've got a foreign exchange student that just arrived here Sunday, so I've been very, very busy. And
what just happened?
Did I get you?
We just found out.
I think he had a foreign exchange student. He's been really busy. I think
Eric just did a spit take.
I finally got one. Eric's a spitter. All right.
Oh.
Anywho.
Hey, you're the one that's busy with your foreign exchange.
That didn't sound right at all. Stop drinking when I'm talking. It's just going to get worse.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Sorry if I sprayed you. Not sorry for spit taking.
This entire conversation is going to be taken out of context later. This is sound bites. All of it is fucking sound bites now. Jesus Christ. What the fuck was I? Anyway, I was busy with my foreign exchange student. The underage one. Thanks, Eric. Fucking CPS just showed up. And the feds. Anyway, I've just been busy, getting things in place as far as the room wasn't quite furnished, so we had to build her a dresser and this and that, whatever. So I've been really busy. And then we what are we talking about this week? And none of us knew. And you're clicking.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I don't think that we can record it. I don't think it records on the thing. Yeah. I don't think Audacity picks up the click in your phone, but
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't picking up the click in my phone.
Sorry, we got some new equipment we're playing with. Aside from my student, fucker. Anyway, so I didn't have a lot of time to. I was trying to quickly research. Then I come down with the cold this morning, so I was trying to last minute get some of my show notes done for this part of it. And when I Googled the geek movies, I was in 2019 was the article I clicked on. So then I hurried up and right before you guys got here, I tried to look at the rest of the decade. So most of my shit's in 2019. That's what I was trying to get to before Eric spit his fucking beer all over me.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That was amazing.
I gave you my heart. I gave you my soul. I gave you these nuts.
Okay, I download.
What the hell? You know what? But
in the break, we were talking between episodes. We were talking about getting a soundboard and doing some stuff. So I downloaded a soundboard app, and now
we have no idea
I'm
if that's
down a
actually
rabbit
going to
hole.
come out right. Oh my god, this whole fucking thing just went to shit.
His click's louder than mine does. I don't understand because he has the same phone as you, doesn't he?
It's syphilis.
Yeah. Doesn't he have the same phone as you though?
I don't know. What the fuck? No, I've got the iPhone 10 or XR, whatever the hell. What do you got?
iPhone 8.
No, there you
That's
go.
weird.
I don't know.
Huh. Do you have the classic jack? No, they got rid of that after the 6, right? Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
We'll try that.
so...
But every time you touch it, it makes noise.
It buzzes,
I hear it. It's buzzy.
So you've only got best and worst of 2019?
For the most part. I started to kind of float back a little bit, like right as you guys walked in the door. I was like, oh, this whole list is like 2019. So, which, ironically, going back to some of the shit I said before, like 2018 and 2019 were like ridiculous for movies for me. So, sure, either way.
Maybe we'll come up with an aggregate list and post it on the site or something. There wasn't really any hard and fast rules here. Personally, I used a whole bunch of different criteria to pick what was bad. Paul and I were talking about this when we were inside, but I don't even have the same reasons that these are bad. So ranking them it became like really difficult, and I was just kind of like, yeah, that sounds about right.
And you suck.
Yeah. We'll work with it, And then I had like 10 honorable mentions that I wanted to bring up. And I'm like, you know what? I just got to cut these things out and figure something out here. So it is what it is. So I've got different reasoning for this. These aren't hard and fast geek movies per se. They're just sort of geeky in my mind, pseudo related to geekiness, I guess. And then personal rule, I was just like, well, if something had like 3 sequels, okay, I'm only going to just put one on here. We'll talk about the worst one. And I didn't do any B movies. Like, I didn't do any obvious crap trash. I didn't,
right.
So, I don't know if you guys followed the same rules, but that was just me. That was just me blabbing.
So mine were, I didn't do the obvious, you knew they were going to be terrible movies. I did not do Sharknado. I did not do Sharktopus versus Croc-a-Robot or all that shit that's on Sci-Fi.
I love how his title had both Croc and Puss in there.
I didn't do any of those. At
least you were just smoking that time.
I didn't do any of those.
Clean this fucking board.
So mine were. I'm gonna dry off all the equipment.
This whole fucking episode is with the shit. This is gonna be great.
Mine were movies that I went into expecting something good and came out disappointed. So there's a ton of movies. I think a couple on your list that I looked at. I was like
most of the women in my life.
I didn't. I stayed away from that movie. I knew that wasn't going to be good. I intended not to see it. I stayed away. These are movies that like I went into thinking, all right, I hope this is good, and I left thinking, boy, that sucked.
All right. So should we go in for the line that the best movie of this year for all of us was The Room?
When was that made? Does that count in this? It was 2000.
Oh shit! Was it this decade? No, I think it was last decade.
I think it was last decade.
I think it was last decade.
Yeah, I did too. That's why it's not on my list.
Hurry up! Somebody research as we're talking. Yeah, we're all researching now. All right, Paul, you're the research guy. Do it.
Paul's the research guy. All right, I like this.
Yeah, Eric brings his computer, and Paul's the research guy.
Yeah. 2003.
Shit.
Oh man!
Well, honorable mention to The Room because I love you.
All-time movie. Yeah.
Well, it was re-released on YouTube this decade, so we'll just count that.
Sidebar from that because we always sidebar, and then we'll jump right into this conversation. For the best and worst movies, I forget when this is coming out, but I know I threw it up on our Facebook. From the makers of Sharknado, did you guys see what I put on Facebook? It was like zombie tidal wave or something.
Yeah.
And Ian Zierning's in it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Of course.
But they look like the zombies from like the Day of the Dead, where they're like the first one where they're blue. Mm-hmm. Like that. And you know what? I'm sorry. I love Sharknado.
I did too. The first one was a lot of fun.
LCD right here. LCD.
The first Sharknado is a lot of fun. Like, it's ridiculous. It's got Ian Ziering and Tara Reid. You know it's going to be ridiculous. When at the, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Sharknado, when at the end, the shark comes from, like, out of the sky and eats him on the ground, and then he chainsaws his way out of its belly, you're just like, oh, that's sort of entertaining.
And that's just the first one.
Yeah.
It gets...
Oh, and then there's like 5 more.
It follows the Fast and the Furious formula.
Yeah.
Like for how insane it gets.
Except it only has taken them like 2 years or maybe 3 years to do like 8
pump
movies.
Out 8 movies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I love them all. Because
I stopped after
you know what they are?
3 or 4. I forget.
You remember one of the other shows we did when we were complaining about, or I said I would hope that they would come up with some type of the old school spoof movies that we used to watch that were good, and they all make them like the scary movie 17 that they suck. This is borderline that, where like they will pick up like all of a sudden like she's shooting blasts like Iron Man, and she likes it. You know what I mean? Like they talk to whatever's in pop culture right at that moment, and kind of why I love him.
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't like maybe there have been like take dangerous animal thing and weather phenomenon and put like bee tsunami or alligator tornado or something, just like a mashup of those. Just started.
Dude, I promise. Like I said, zombie tidal wave. I promise you, if you Google it,
all right, I'm Googling.
If you build it, they will come.
I'm Googling zombie.
Sci-Fi. The Sci-Fi channel.
Oh, the Sci-Fi channel is ridiculous with that stuff.
Yeah, they really
and
are.
I love them all. And Eric just like, well, now he's taking just spitting beer on me. Yeah. I'm like, that's how much he looks down on me when I watch these movies.
Zombie tidal wave. There it is. Film.
See, told you. I'm telling you.
It premieres Saturday, August 17th on Sci-Fi.
Oh, that's
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, how about that?
This weekend. Oh my god! All right, so anyway, best and worst for the decade. All right, I'm going to start this thing off.
All right, so worst number 5. We're going to start with John.
Not only does he... Oh, okay.
We're doing this countdown style.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, because I was like... He just jumped right in there with worst number. I'm like, literally, he spit on me and then just ignored me.
No. I'm just announcing it for everybody.
Like
so
a $2 hooker.
What's happening?
All right. Okay. So worst for the decade, ish. Well, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Dark Tower.
So we've talked about this one several times.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Mainly for me, and again, the movie itself that they made, I would like to see something else. What else they can do with it, but from the source material itself, I was just fed up with it. I was done, all the way done. So yeah, that's like top of my or bottom of my barrel, I guess. Sorry, you're done. That's all I got to say about it. It's pathetic.
Well, I didn't hate that movie, but I think we said this before, but I didn't have the advantage of reading the book, and I really didn't know what to expect coming into it. So,
and that was my problem with it.
I loved McConaughey's sort of evil character in that.
For a straight sci-fi horror-ish, whatever, it would have been cool. But knowing the source material, I was really mad about it. So
yeah. All right,
Paul, you're number 5.
After Earth.
Oh,
Will Smith and his son.
Yeah.
Where most of what
you had me at hello.
Most of that movie is so the saucer thing that they're in crashes. Will Smith is like, okay, we crashed, and the rest of the movie is like the kid kind of talking to himself / walking, and there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, it's drawn out. It's really drawn out and kind of boring. I think that's prone to happen when you only have 2 characters and a unknown bad guy that you can't show.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it was a stretch to make it entertaining. It really was.
Yeah.
So for our end of list, are we going to do just straight bottom 5 and top 5, or are we going to like compile them all into like 10 and 10?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll just write them all down, and we can kind of like fight it out. Just do 5 and 5.
Whatever you want to do, we can figure it out. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I didn't think about it before I came here. I thought about this other stuff. I put it on a piece of paper.
I do the real work, you assholes.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. All right, my number 5 is actually Venom. This is to Paul's point of having an expectation and going into something. Of course, my expectation is based on source material. Venom is probably my favorite anti-hero, probably my favorite comic book character of all, actually. It's the only one I have, like, all the original number 1. I've got the foil cover. It's still in my house. I think I showed them to you, John, when you were there a few weeks ago. But I love Venom. And then to go in and watch this, and it was funny, I watched it with my wife. In the theater, and I was telling her beforehand because she didn't know the storyline, and they don't actually do a great job explaining what the hell's going on in the movie. And I'm like, oh, it's this happens and this happens. You're gonna see, Venom's story is all about sort of an origin that involves Spider-Man. There's no fucking Spider-Man in the movie. It's not even mentioned. It's just straight to Eddie Brock.
That was my biggest problem with it. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? Yeah. Like. That's part of what makes Venom. Yeah. Is that early interaction. That's part of his origin story. And now you made an origin story that's just Eddie Brock. And it's kind of boring. Eddie Brock in the movie anyway.
I agree with you.
It killed me.
You know what? Let's do a brief reason why we're bringing them, and then we'll come back once we have a list of bottom and top, and we'll argue for them, and then we'll figure it out.
All right.
Number 4, I'd go with Jonah Hex. Again, DC trying to do something. I don't know what the hell they were trying to do. I think this was prior to them really trying to do a universe. They had a property with their shit, and it was Josh Brolin, who I love, and Megan Fox who I love. She's on my long list. Closer to the top, though. Yeah. But the whole movie just sucked. Again, now I'm not going to lie and say I know a whole lot about the character. That didn't read a lot about him in the comics or whatever. I was more of the mainstream DC shit, so I don't know. The little times I've seen him, okay, I get who he is and what he's supposed to be. I don't know how close to the source material it played. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. But just overall, the movie was just kind of like, why? Yeah. So that was why for me.
It's interesting because Jonah Hex is a Western title from before kind of superheroes, right? When they were still doing like Western comic books were the thing, sort of pre-Golden Age of superheroes. Yeah. And DC cannot do with their minor characters what Marvel can do with like Doctor Strange and their Marvel. Like make a great movie and bring them to the mainstream.
Side point, but Marvel has taken their minor characters and made them big screen main characters. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't know how they do it.
That was all they had left, too.
Right. Who really cares about Doctor Strange? I have never met a person in my life that says, that's my favorite character.
Right.
Before Iron Man came out... This guy's
going to have a second movie.
Yeah, before Iron Man came out, nobody gave a shit about him.
About Iron Man, right.
Right. Yeah. And they made an entire fucking franchise, an entire world on that one guy. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Yeah, we've beaten that dead horse.
Yeah. All right. My number 4 is The Last Airbender.
Oh, I didn't actually see that. But
I forgot that one. I saw half of it and I just walked away.
All the reviews I read were god awful, and I never watched it, so I can't comment. But
as an anime property, I was excited to see kind of a live action version of this, and it's just not good.
Eric, you haven't watched it, and you can comment. That's how
bad
it was.
Well, I mean, I've read reviews on it, but I think there's not to get too far off topic, but there's a general failure of turning anime content into live action content that probably echoes as badly as the video games to movies. It really doesn't. They don't do well with it. They really don't. So my number 4 was actually a video game to movie, but it's Warcraft, which wasn't really based on anything in the game. You guys didn't see this?
I wanted to.
So it's an animated one. It could have been super interesting. I personally played Warcraft for probably a couple years with friends. I liked the game. The movie wasn't. It was only based on the game in the sense that, there's orcs and humans, and it's sort of set up in the same dichotomy or whatever that you have in the game. But the storyline is completely made up. I don't know where they got it from. It's bad. The dialogue's terrible. The story's terrible. It starts with trying to be comfortable and familiar with some orcs that are... I don't know, they have a family and they're being affectionate towards each other. It just doesn't make any sense.
They're trying to force you to feel for me.
It was really weird. And the whole movie played out like that, and it ended up being just incredibly boring. So,
all right, so number 3 for me would be Dumbo. And again, mind you, I'm going mostly on like the last year because of my fucked up search. But Dumbo, that was one of those Disney where, you tried and you failed. I did appreciate it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original one, and they could have left it alone. I don't know. There was a lot in there that I was expecting them to do, and they didn't. And I was like, you know what? No. So it's one of the worst ones. I'm sorry. So it's dumb.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. My whole family did without me because I opted out of it. But
now, what surprised me was another one on my list. Ava Green is in it. I didn't know that going into it. Oh. And then she shows up, and I'm like, oh, well, I have one redeeming factor in this movie. And even that, she's barely a redeeming factor. I'm like, yeah, okay, you know.
Yeah,
because typically you see her and I'm like, huh, okay, it's Ava Green. Yeah, here she's like, she's there. And she's got a good part, but okay, yay, whatever.
Yeah, my wife said it wasn't good. My kids were just meh on it. So
no, it was not good.
All right, my number 3, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that was on my honorable mentions, actually. See? So that was really poorly done.
Yeah, all parts of it.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Fantastic?
Yeah.
Fantastic? How do you say that?
It's
you don't.
It's interesting how both Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan were able to sort of get out of that role and into something better in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in the Marvel Universe, but you know, it's
to
a Marvel
go
property to go to the mainstream
Marvel
Universe,
and,
right?
Yeah,
and do better.
Yeah. All right, awesome. So I guess we just wait for Michael Chiklis to show up, or the guy who played the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was god awful.
Is it my number?
I tried to watch it. Yeah, it's yours. Your number 3.
Okay, so my number 3 was the sequel to Independence Day. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Ooh.
Independence Day Resurgence. Oh, it's god awful. You know that there's some cheesy moments in Independence Day, like when the crop dusting father guy is like going up the thing and he's like up yours.
Hey boys, I'm back.
Yeah. But it's just a couple cheesy moments that are sort of
entertaining
in a Sharknado sort of way, right? Like, okay, fine. You know, there's a good actor here, and there's sort of a comedic thing with it. It's not. The whole Independence Day Resurgence movie, they try to play on stuff like that. It flopped. They missed Will Smith. Hello, where did you go? You couldn't have done it without him anyway. And so, as he said earlier, Bill Pullman's the only person you get back. And even then, it's like, oh, we're going to do this speech scene over again.
Try to recreate the rousing speech from the first one. You can't do it.
God, everything about it was awful. Everything.
I skipped it.
It's
glad
bad.
I did.
You can watch it for free if you want.
Not if you paid me. All right, on to paying me, I guess. No, kidding. Number 4, Lion King. Sorry, I checked out.
Yeah,
I liked it. All right, it brought back enough nostalgia to the first movie to make me go, oh, for a few minutes while I was in the movie to be like, oh, that was cool. And again, the graphics are cool. But it was wholly unnecessary. It was literally beat for beat the same movie. I echo everything Eric said in his review. Dude, yeah, I'm just all the way out on this thing. I'm like, you can't recreate the cartoon and then have these realistic lions not showing you any emotion. You lose everything.
Have you seen it, Paul?
No.
You haven't seen it yet? Oh.
Sorry.
Did you read my mean review?
Spoiler alert!
And you talked about, the last time I was here, you talked about the lack of emotion on their face makes the Mufasa death scene not so bad this time.
Yeah, almost laughable, really, but not in a comfortable way.
Disney remake Simba makes Kristen Stewart look like fucking Meryl Streep. Sorry, I can't stand Meryl Streep. Anyway.
Nothing. Yeah, that almost made my list too. I ultimately decided to cut it the last second, but I mean, it is awful. It belongs on a worst list. It really does.
My number 2 hurts my heart to say.
Uh-oh.
But it's based on, and it's not a terrible movie. It's based on, this is my desire for this to be great, how much I love these two characters, and how disappointing I thought the movie was, is Batman vs. Superman.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not a bad movie the way Independence Day Resurgence is. It's not a bad movie the way, right, like Sharknado, or it's better than Fantastic Four. But you have arguably the two biggest comic book characters in this face-off that is interesting to think about in the comics, and how they would not necessarily get along despite, being the world's finest in DC stuff, and two super friends, if you will. But that the fight goes on for so long and it ends because their moms happen to have the same name is just sort of stupid. And like that's what they're like. Oh, are we best friends now?
Yeah.
It's great because it's got sort of the intro of Wonder Woman. You get a flash of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. You get a little bit of Flash in there, but it could have been so much more. And so the letdown factor for me is what puts it on that list.
Yeah, definitely the fighting was probably way too drawn out without the right amount of build up to the animosity.
Right.
It was just more about the action. Yeah. And they went, if you could compare that back to earlier Batman movies, I mean, they went way over the edge with the sort of physical damage that was happening, right? And it's appropriate for Superman. It's actually a little inappropriate for Batman, I think. But I mean, busting through 2-foot thick columns of concrete and shit. It's like, come on.
Yeah, you can't kick him through a brick wall in theory.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I think there's a lot of not very redeeming points about that movie.
Yeah,
and I've never been a huge DC fan. We've talked about that several times, but. You're right.
They just missed it in a way that you shouldn't be able to miss it with characters that great, with backstories of what they are. And you've got Superman sort of just getting here, but Batman has been Batman for 20 plus years, potentially. Yeah. There's that weird dream sequence in the desert that doesn't make a lot of sense. That I still sort of don't understand what that's about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts to it that are like, oh, you should have had this.
So, side note, Warner Brothers Studios, when I was there, I was looking for some sort of thing to take home other than a pop or something. And they had this T-shirt wall, right? And it was like all the what you'd expect: Superman, Batman, Green Lantern. But they had this one shirt up there that I had to buy. Fucking Bizarro. I have never seen this anywhere.
When you walked in, I noticed. I was like, I've never seen you wearing that shirt.
Because I haven't. I got it there. I was like, I've never seen that anywhere. That's really cool that they did that. And then I was looking through it, and they actually have other ones. They had a Red Lantern shirt hidden in there. Nice. So they have like some random nice. Off the beaten path kind of stuff that was like really neat. Oh, I had to buy that. So they should do a Bizarro movie. Let's do that one. Actually, it'd probably be terrible, but. All right, so
the rate they're going.
My number 2 is Bright. You guys ever see this? Not to be mean to Will Smith.
Is that the Will Smith ogre straight to Netflix?
Yeah. So that's the alternate
Alien. Excuse me, not
it's Alienation with Will Smith and ogres.
And ogres.
They're not aliens. They're ogres.
It's not alienation. It's borrowing from Tolkien. There's fairies and orcs, and his partner's an orc. Remember?
Yeah, but the part I'm associating with alienation.
No, I get the storyline of the cop and
cop and his partner. Yeah. They're trying to integrate these creatures into.
It really flopped on so many levels. I think I don't even know where to start with that, but. Nothing in that movie really worked, and I like fantasy stuff probably more than most people. But man, it was just like there are some redeeming qualities of it, like some redeeming few minutes, like Will Smith like beating a fairy with a broom or whatever. but I mean,
which is gonna make me. I'm gonna save my argument to knock it down the list a little bit. So yeah.
All right. We can go.
All right. So here,
number 1, worst movie of the decade.
Worst movie of the decade. All right, yeah. Paul's looking at my list, and here's a shock. This is how bad I don't want this movie to ever have any kind of support. I haven't even seen this fucking movie yet. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And it hit my list the minute I saw the trailer. X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
I still haven't seen it.
The minute I saw the trailer, and again, okay. People can be like, oh, no, we really liked it. No, listen to me. The minute I saw the first trailer, I was like, they literally remade X-Men Last Stand. Like, right down to the street shot of where she used to live and this and that, whatever. Okay, you threw in some space stuff or whatever. And then I heard reviews. And I said, yep, all right. I was right on par with what I thought. It was just god-awful. It was like they couldn't stick the landing on the third one. And... they've done it multiple times now with this shit. So this movie coming out, when I saw the first trailer and then I just started to hear the reviews, made me thank God that Disney bought them out.
Right.
So I don't even have to watch this to make it my worst movie. That's how bad it is. And at some point when, I don't know, when I'm feeling like I need to abuse myself a little bit, I'll probably find it and put it on.
Right.
Because, you're talking to the guy who made everybody watch The Room. So I will make myself watch this movie at some point. But as of this viewing or this podcast, I have not seen it. It's still the worst one. Fuck you.
Yeah. All right, my number one, and this was a toss-up between this and the last one. Again, based on my expectations, because I like this character, but not as much as Batman and Superman. But for me, it's Green Lantern.
Oh, I'm actually with you there.
Oh.
I think we've referred to that as "Why did you do that?" more than once. Yeah,
and
that's an upcoming episode.
And it's got Ryan Reynolds, who's usually pretty good, and he's not bad in the movie.
Right. He's the only thing that even remotely makes that movie a movie.
Right.
Yeah, and granted it's before, but he even makes fun of...
He makes fun of it now, yeah.
Yeah, he does. He makes fun of...
And I think even in the movie, kills him.
Even in the movie, there might be a point where he says something making fun of the character. Am I crazy?
Like, even in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, when Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern are talking to the Teen Titans, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to Batman's preview," and they're like, "Do you guys have movies?" And Wonder Woman's like, "Yep, got one just coming out," and Superman's like, "There's been so many," and the Jon Stewart Green Lantern goes, "There was a Green Lantern movie. We don't really talk about it."
Yeah. So there you go. That's all there is there. We're gonna delve more into all of these as we try to break them down. Let's do worst, best, and then we'll start.
What's Eric's worst?
Yeah, my worst was actually a horror movie, Slender Man. So, you like this?
No. I remember it.
So that was based on an internet meme.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it, but it came up in
one
YouTube
of those,
videos and something.
Creepypasta stories.
Yeah, creepypasta. Yeah. I think it might have been introduced on Reddit or some random forum, and and the thing just blew up and went everywhere, and it got involved in real news stories at one point about a girl being murdered in Wisconsin or something. It was like all kinds of...
these girls tried to sacrifice her to Slender Man. Yeah, it was a real thing.
Yeah, and so then these guys try to make this movie, and like, what the fuck? First of all, you didn't play on any of the shit that happened in real life or on the internet at all. You just sort of like, in a way, sort of did like a Ring, like... I don't know, concept with it, where you try to...
I didn't see it.
The Ring was based on, like, VHS tapes, but but at least The Ring was decent, I guess.
Yeah.
It was,
the Ring was good.
The Ring's creepy.
But they sort of tried to redo that
Ironically, Samara is hot. Anyway, not that one. Not in the movie, but like later on, she grew up to be really hot.
Everything about it, again, it was just no good. I mean, there was no good jumps. There was nothing scary. They didn't play up on the lore at all. They just wasted a bunch of fucking time.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the worst not B horror movies that has ever been made.
Yeah.
Not just this decade. Like ever. All right, so what are we doing? We're aggregating our list here. We're going to try the...
This is the first time we've ever done this.
Oh,
we're doing this on the fly.
This is going to be ugly.
John's taking the list, and he's kind of grouping them.
So I wrote them all down as we went from 5 to 1. We can do this one of two ways. We can just keep them in their separate categories, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then argue for which one gets knocked out. Or we can, if one of us says, "Oh, yeah, you know what, you brought up a good point, I'm going to bump that way up," we can do that too. So we're kind of doing it on the fly, so we'll figure this out. And then once we come up with the rules, it'll be better later. Maybe for the best one, hopefully.
I don't know if we can agree on rules for this. Probably I definitely don't want to do like just the 5s because you guys brought up some ones that I would.
Yeah, I know. I think
I would love to be on my list, and I just think
we're gonna at least hit 10.
I just think I missed it.
And that was my point with like all of us, because honestly, if you look at this list, none of us agreed on any. We trashed 15 fucking movies.
Let's try this. Is there anything on the list we can all agree with? And then maybe we can figure out if there's 5 we all agree with, and we can try to rank them.
Let's try to fight for the top 10.
All right. Top 10? I mean, that's most of them. We just throw some out.
Well, there's 15 there. Yeah. I don't know. You want to whittle it down to 7?
No,
5?
No.
Let's go for 10. All right, let's start at the bottom. All right, Dark Tower, After Earth, and Venom. The only argument I'll make out of any of these is for Venom, which actually counteracts my argument for Dark Tower.
Uh-oh.
If you take out the source material, it's a good movie. Actually, no, I take that back. It supports my argument for the Dark Tower. I hated it because of the fact that it ignored the source material.
Right.
However, as just a regular movie, it would have been good. Same thing for Venom. If you take out the fact that it was Spider-Man, it was a decent movie, and Tom Hardy really carried it.
So, Tom Hardy's fine, but I'm going to say this. If you're going to do a comic book movie, and we've watched lots of them now, and you're going to fuck up the source material, you're doing it wrong. You don't have to follow the rules. You can borrow from it. You can adapt things, but they took away what made the fucking character. So, fuck them, fuck that movie.
Like, you can't reboot a Batman story without killing his parents.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's the exact same thing.
You can't reboot a Spider-Man story without killing Uncle Ben. You just, without it, you don't have Batman. Without his parents dying, you don't have Batman. Without the suit, without Spider-Man, you just have this gooey black mess that is, right?
That's angry for no reason, too. I mean, like...
Okay, I figured out how we're going to do this. We are doing top 10, and just out of these groups, we'll just eliminate one out of every group, and we'll kind of figure it out from there.
All right, that works.
So now my argument for Dark Tower, same. Source material was... They tried to combine too much of the source material into one shot. If you would have taken your time and actually told this epic story, you would have had something. I'm going to... You know what? Out of all three of these, I'm going to go with... I'll just argue that After Earth can drop off of here because anytime Will Smith brings his kid in, you're fucked.
Yeah. I just thought it was going to be something, and it turned out not to be. So
okay,
but yeah.
So you would agree with me?
Yeah, I'll take it out.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you think?
All right, I agree.
All right. So After Earth is gone. So Dark Tower, Venom. I'll put Dark Tower at the bottom because I agree with your argument.
Okay.
I agree with your argument with. Venom, because I argued from the very beginning of them announcing Venom, what the hell are you doing? So I may even argue to put Venom even higher on this list. So we'll go Dark Tower.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe I should have gone higher. But I mean, I'm trying to imagine right now if you could do a comic character movie where there was actually no comic, like you invent a character. You think it's possible?
Yeah, it's called science fiction.
People would actually buy into it and want to go watch it.
Create something that's got comic book tropes, but has no original.
But isn't actually based on any comic. You just came up with an anti-hero that's in a fucking suit. He's got to be in a suit, for Christ's sake. He's got some origin story that you're going to cram into the first 15 minutes so you can have action in the movie. And could it even be done without some baseline source material?
I don't know. All right, pin that. Write it down. Seriously, write that one down. Also, and nobody's writing. Okay. Damn it, Paul.
I never have a pen.
I know.
Oh, wait, I do have a pen.
Yeah, you've got a pen right there. All right. So, can there be comic book movie, grab me one, without an actual comic book? And we'll remember it. The other one is at work. I'm going to have to take all this shit out. At work, somebody brought up, because we were talking about podcasting and this and that, whatever. We started talking about some of the cartoons that we grew up with, and somebody at work, we started talking about Watership Down and The Hobbit and this and that, and my buddy Daniel, who we will have guest on this podcast and eventually will guest on his. He's getting ready to launch his. He was like, you guys should do a kind of an introspective on some of the dark shit we watched as kids, like The Hobbit and Watership Down and Velveteen Rabbit and all that stuff, and how it would pretty much break kids nowadays. You know what I mean? Like that kind of. So something like that. Something like, what the fuck was wrong with the people that were making shit for us when we were kids, and whether or not that was good or bad. All right. And while you're writing that down, you got all that?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll move on to number 4. Yes. Damn it. So we got Jonah Hex, Last Airbender, and Warcraft.
Listen, I'm willing to drop Warcraft right off the bat just because it's a game to movie, and I should have known better. It should probably be in the category of B movies because
considering I haven't seen it and there's still a part of me that wants to watch it. Okay, cool. So now we're down to Airbender and Jonah Hex, as Paul's writing.
I think I don't know.
I will simply say, again, I don't have much of an argument for Jonah Hex. Only, like I said earlier, I kind of I pretty much spent my load when I put it out there before. I was like, I don't know much about the source material, so I don't know how well they stuck to it. But I just think, outside of staring at Megan Fox running around sweating in a corset, there's nothing redeeming about this movie.
Yeah.
How about Airbender? I heard way worse things about Airbender than I did Jonah Hex.
Yeah. But as an animated to...
M. Night Shyamalan just kind of said fuck it. And just do whatever he wanted.
It doesn't even have the M. Night Shyamalan twist ending.
No.
Right, yeah. No, he literally... it seemed, from what I heard, because I didn't watch it, from what I heard, it basically seemed like he took his celebrity and decided, I'm going to make this movie for me and my kids and whatever. And
this is my retirement home / I don't have to work again. Yep.
All right. So do you want that one above Jonah Hex?
Yes.
Okay.
Concur.
Airbender. Jonah Hex. All right. Venom's going above those. All right, 3. Dumbo, Fantastic Four Stick, whatever, and Independence Day. We're getting good. All right. Sorry, I've been talking my ass off and my sinuses hurt. Somebody go.
Nothing else that we've done here is really sequels. So I'm happy to drop Independence Day Resurgence and just say all sequels are bound to be shitty.
Yeah.
Granted, there's exceptions, but I'm willing to let that go for sure.
Yeah, I as soon as I saw them announcing that and Will Smith wasn't in it, I kind of knew it was going to be shit.
Yeah.
So, all right.
That was never on my list of something I'd consider seeing.
So, all right. So, Fantastic Four and Dumbo.
I feel like Dumbo should be closer to 1 because the hype around kind of a Disney live action remake is always bigger than even sort of a superhero movie that doesn't make it.
I could agree with that.
Now, either one of you guys see it?
No.
Okay.
No, I've only heard.
No, actually, having seen it, like I said, I didn't like. I was like, meh. But comparing it to the rest of this list, this is a good list. All right, comparing it to the rest of this list, I would even drop it lower than some of these other movies, simply for some of the heart that it tried to show. Because like I said when I first brought it on here, it was completely unnecessary. They went the wrong way with it, and I didn't agree with it. But even still, there was a little bit in there that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I
didn't like it, but there were parts of it that kind of like, all right, you did something there. It was kind of cool.
I think let's roll with it. I think we can reorg at the end because I actually don't like this order that we've got going now. I feel like some things don't deserve to be as far down as they are, and something needs to be up further.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think we might have to.
Dumbo can go way to the bottom because even though I brought it up, comparing it to the rest of this list, I put it way beyond like all. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, it was better than what Hey, look, I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong too. It's not horrible. All right, 2.
Oh man, it's gonna
Lion King, BVS, and Bright.
All
right. You hated Bright. Here's my thing with Bright. I watched it with Heather. We thought it was the poor man's Alien Nation, but even still, I don't like it.
We didn't like it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like a fucking teen. I don't like him, but I don't know exactly how I feel about the movie, but I don't hate it. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even put it on this list. Obviously, I didn't. But
all right,
I don't know.
I'll give you this. It was straight to Netflix original, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else on the entire list on any of them was a straight to Netflix original. So if you want to drop it,
that's our criteria.
I'm not agreeing to this.
Just so that a straight to Netflix makes our list. So we're not like everybody else.
I'm not agreeing to this for the best. Okay, I'm just saying that now. But I'll let it go for that reason.
I don't know.
There's not. Are you saying there's not the expectation of quality of a straight to Netflix movie?
Well, back then, no.
But there should
now,
be.
Now there is.
There should be.
Definitely.
When did it come out? Do you remember?
That had to be early in the decade for sure.
No, it was only a couple of years ago.
Really?
I would say it's probably 2 or 3 years old at least.
About. Maybe we're both wrong, and you're right. It was right in the middle.
Yeah, we're gonna have an answer here momentarily. I'm not
We're
the
gonna hold up the
research
show.
guy, but I really need to replace this phone. It's so slow now.
1 hour later.
1 hour later.
2017.
Oh shit! It was really recent.
See? I was a little more on point. I mean, Paul nailed it. He said 2 or 3 years ago. But I didn't think it was that old.
No, actually, then I take back what I said. 2 to 3 years ago, Netflix was doing fine with their originals.
Yeah,
maybe more in the series than the movies.
Considering what they really need to step up their game on the movies if they want to keep this up, because I think they're hemorrhaging money right now.
Oh, I have no idea.
You know, shit. You might have talked me into that one.
I have the same subscription I've had since they were mailing them to me. I've never gotten rid of it.
I'm just going by.
I read this somewhere that so I don't remember if this is if a comedian said this or somebody said this, that I'm not trying to steal it. But somebody said if you told a kid today that when you were a kid Netflix mailed you movies, they'd be like, what?
Yeah. If you remember in the beginning, there was only one option, and you could get 2 movies. I think
you could get 1 at a time, 2 or 3 at a time.
Well, I think that came a little bit after. I think at the very beginning, when they were like $7 a month, you only got 2, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, they came out with the tiered plans, and it was like 5 for a movie, 7 for 2 movie. So we switched to the 3 movie thing. I remember doing that, and then we would have them forever. We'd have them like. It's like you'd watch one, and maybe you'd watch the second one, and the last one you'd have forever, and you wouldn't mail back. Like a month later, and like, fuck, they're making a fortune on it.
You had a whole bunch of DVDs and a Netflix envelope.
Yeah.
And then there was a hybrid period, too. You remember this? Where they had started doing the online streaming, but you could still get the DVDs in the mail?
I do.
And so there was that
period. Because a bunch of people you didn't quite have fast enough internet to stream.
Because you need like 5 megabits a second or something to do the...
And a lot of people still didn't have it yet.
How long ago was that? Because I was probably in the Navy running around doing whatever.
So I started the mail thing, I think it was probably 2004.
Oh, yeah. I was in the Navy, so I wasn't...
And then I think they maybe did the online 4 or 5 years later. They started it, I'm guessing.
Like
I'm really guessing, but...
That sounds about right.
The whole thing changed, and then all of a sudden it was just like, hey, we're not offering.
I really didn't get too much into
DVDs
Netflix
anymore. Just watch the shit online.
I ordered a couple of DVDs and I dropped off it because I was always deploying. See, there's a lot to be said about when I take kind of like pockets of technology from America, where like I'll go on a deployment for a while, I'll come back, and then like you guys are doing like, oh, iPhone 20. God, really?
Where have I been?
What the fuck is going on?
At sea.
Yeah, I've been sitting on a ship. So same thing with like Netflix. They're just like, all right, I don't have time for this, whatever. So I remember ordering some DVDs, and then all of a sudden Heather and I were streaming shit on TV, and that's all I know. Plus my memory sucks too, so yay. Another show idea, but it might be once we reconstruct the studio and do YouTube, because then we can add video and pictures in, is something like what you just said, where like when you bring it up to kids about ordering DVDs and they're like, what? You ever seen the stuff on like YouTube where like they have the kids like they give them a rotary phone and they give them like 4 minutes to make a phone call?
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. We'd be like, here's shit that didn't exist like 5 minutes ago. You know, like we can do something like that. Like when we were younger compared to like what our kids are doing now.
Here's what's crazy. There are at least 3 million people still renting Netflix DVDs.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really?
According to this.
Yeah, I was looking at their timeline for their company to see when they stopped, and I'm all the way at 2011, and it doesn't say they've stopped yet. So maybe they never did.
No, there's 3 million people.
Why 2.7 million Americans still get Netflix DVDs in the mail?
Oh my gosh.
They're like
legacy members of that thing and haven't dropped out of it yet.
So it was 2007 though when they launched the
a third
formal
of them were in
online
Iowa,
service,
right
so
near where
pretty close.
Paul was. You know, Paul was like flying by them. They were all getting their Netflix DVDs off of the plane he was landing in. All right. Anyway, where the fuck were we?
I think we were trying
Lion
to
King, BVS, and Bright.
We're trying to decide what to do. So
we're going to drop Bright off, but you kind of talked me into it too.
Absolutely, Lion King has to be on this list.
Lion King and BVS.
It's got to be on this list. It should have been on my list. I can't believe we had no overlap at all. That's actually quite amazing.
That's amazing. I want to see the other one. All right. So, Bright, bye.
All right.
Lion King and BVS.
Lion King goes higher. In fact, that's going to be near the top of, for me anyway. I don't know if you guys want to argue with me, but I mean, it was like the absolute. It's not just that they remade a movie unnecessarily. It's that they did a terribly poor job at it, and they did it solely for the, oh, look, we can make realistic animals. This is going to be so cool. Wrong. That doesn't work.
That was the best Mickey Mouse impersonation in this group.
Yeah.
All right, good. You know what? Come on, Beavis. I just want to do it once.
I think that I didn't see the new Lion King, so it's hard to say. I've heard not a lot of great things about it. You take two of the most iconic heroes and you screw that up so badly that they fight, and the only reason the fight stops is because both their moms have the same name, and then they become best friends. That's dumb.
It is pretty dumb.
You're right.
It was, to me, it was majorly disappointing.
So amusingly enough, both of these have done the same thing, which is wreck an iconic good thing.
Yeah.
By trying to make a movie out of it. In the interest of geekness, I guess I'll give BVS a higher rating, I think. Yeah.
Really? You're going to concede? Wow. Because you know what? I was going to
I said this to Paul when you were
moderator as host.
No,
go ahead.
So I said this to Paul when you were missing. There's a lot that's wrong with that movie, but
you misspelled pissing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a lot that's wrong with that movie, but as a guy that doesn't care that much about DC, I didn't think it was insanely terrible. They just did a lot of wrong things, and it was kind of beyond belief a little bit. But if you want an action movie, they made an action movie for you. That's for sure. Yeah.
If you're a casual fan and you're not sort of super into those characters, you could have come away liking that.
Yeah,
I don't mind saying that.
All right. Yes. Now,
especially the opener in the warehouse. I mean, that was that's not the opener, but the scene in the warehouse thing. Oh, yeah. That was entertaining.
It was toward the end of the movie.
Was it? It was toward the opener.
Yeah. That's when Eric woke up from his fucking nap.
Yeah, probably. That's probably true.
All right. Anyway,
so I have a habit of watching things on an airplane. And often I will fall asleep for 30 minutes of the movie, and I'll just wake up and pick it up. And I'm not sure how much I've missed, but if I can still follow, we're good.
Anyway, all right. Can I jump in here now?
Yeah,
do it.
So, on both ends, I hated both of them. For yours, for Paul, I'm pointing at him like you can see me. For Paul, BVS, we've beaten this movie up time and again, right? But the only redeeming quality I've got in that movie is what I've said before, is Zack Snyder does do some really cool shots in there. But all his movies are a bunch of shots. There's not a good story. So he completely shits all over the source material just to make those few shots. Like, oh, this is what you're going to recognize from that movie or from the comics or whatever, right? But to Eric's point with The Lion King, because I've seen it, it was completely unnecessary. The only edge I would give it over BVS is BVS kind of had a few cool moments in it. Lion King.
It's all Gal Gadot. All the cool moments are Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and even there you go. I'm not the only one who's got a list. Thank you. But
where's that someone just baked cinnamon rolls sound?
Yeah. That's cinnamon rolls? You have issues, son. Oh,
American Pie, baby.
Israeli
Come on,
pie, baby.
Come on, soundboard.
Jesus. All right. So, I would give Lion King the edge as far as the worst movie over BVS for now. But we're going to argue them anyway, so.
All right. We're going to end up having to make a third episode. This is ridiculous.
Nah, we'll just run long.
It's worth splitting. We're at an hour already.
Yeah.
we haven't even made it through the worst. We're splitting it, dude. We'll just do the intro, and if we decide not to split, you can cut it out.
Okay, that's cool.
Do you have to go? Right. Do you have to run, Paul?
We're at 1.
Let's do our round robin on the best, and then
all right. Let's get to the 1 real quick.
Okay, 1. Oh shit! Slender Man, Green Lantern, X-Men, Dark Phoenix.
I don't know shit about X-Men Dark Phoenix because I haven't seen it.
I didn't either.
Neither did I, but I'm putting it right at the fucking top.
I actually kind of want to see it still, and I hate to judge it.
Okay, fine. So
I kind of do too.
I'll put Green Lantern above it.
All right, above it.
As far as bad,
I'm saying we can cut it.
Oh shit! Wow, Slenderman was that bad?
It's bad. You haven't seen Slenderman?
No.
Oh fuck.
Okay, all right.
Well,
fine.
so I almost feel bad having a horror movie on this list at all, though, because we haven't done that, and there are a million terrible horror movies because it's almost expected from the genre. But
let's throw it in there because it's part of our culture, and then we can go into a best and worst horror movies in October.
All right.
So Slenderman, we'll put Slenderman at 2. Sorry, Ryan. All right, so this is what we got right now, and then let's hurry up and run through them so we can go to the best. Right now, we've got, from bottom to top, Dark Tower, Venom, Airbender, Jonah Hex, Dumbo, Fantastic Four, BVS, Lion King, Slenderman, Green Lantern. Any problems with that list?
I'm actually not hating it that much.
And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, Venom belongs further down on the bottom. So
with everything else we've done, I actually agree. I think it belongs towards.
What do you think, Paul?
I think that's a pretty good list.
Yeah. All right. So
we might just run with that.
So there you go.
Without
rearranging anything, I think. Yeah. All
right. What was number 3 on that one?
All right. From the least worst to the worst. 10 is Dark Tower, Venom, Airbender, Jonah Hex, Dumbo, Fantastic Four, BVS, Lion King, Slenderman, Green Lantern.
I would actually
for the decade.
I might drop Slenderman down on that list a bit, but I like it otherwise.
All right, cool.
We'll call it a wrap.
Let's put a pin in this.
All right,
we were going to do best and worst, and we ran for the worst because we're the worst podcast in the world. Woo!
We're the worst time managers, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right,
maybe that's what we get when I write
episode 3.
Scripts, I don't know.
Yeah, you might have to stop being the writer for this shit. All right,
really?
Let's roll into episode 3 for the night. This is the first. I kind of got tomorrow off.
All right. And we're going to do 4. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me?
Yeah, you and I are going to do 4,
all right, let's call it.
Time. All right, well, that was your worst movies for 2019.
The decade.
Hi, I'm John. This is What If Geeks. This is the worst movies for the decade for our culture, and we are about to jump into the best. So come back and listen to that one. For now, hit us up and let us know what movies we missed, because I'm sure there's so many.
Oh, yeah.
And then hit us up at What If Geeks at whatifgeeks.com.
Yay!
Yeah. And whatifgeeks@gmail.com, and on Instagram and Twitter. And you can come down to Central Florida and drive to my house, and we'll have breakfast, and we can do all kinds of shit together. It'll be fun, because there's only like fucking 30 of you people listening to us. It's getting bigger, though. We're growing. All right, get in on the ground floor, people. Hit us up. All right, later, guys. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Ann.